I'm back with Kaiser Redo. I just wanted to read the description of this real quick. Deception is a right, truth is a privilege, innocence is a luxury. Born of the U.S. government's 1928 raid on a degenerate coastal town in Massachusetts, a covert agency known as Delta Green opposes the forces of darkness with honor, but without glory. Delta Green agents slip through the system, manipulating the federal bureaucracy while pushing the darkness back for another day, but often at a shattering personal cost. What needs to get done? For a start, books need to be burned, artifacts smashed into powder, and men need to be silenced. Most of all, the future must never be allowed to become the present. I think I read that before, so I'm not going to bother reading the effects of it, but that was our that was our Delta Green national spirit. Exploration into the paranormal. Lovecraft has always had a powerful belief in spiritualism, and with his iron grip on the government, he has authorized the creation of a special branch within Delta Green, especially dedicated to the paranormal and spiritual. With this new branch, we will delve into the vast depths of the unknown. The vast unknown of the afterlife will finally be explored, and the secrets of life and death will finally be revealed. While some in Lovecraft's government may not be happy with this wasted tax money, their opinions do not matter to Lovecraft. His word is law, and nobody dare say otherwise. What secrets does the afterlife hold? Also, important to note, I declared war on the constitutional American Republic. Rise of Majestic 12. The Vermont incident had proven definitively that Lovecraft's fears of an alien threat from beyond the stars were well founded. This discovery has shaken the internal structure of the intelligence community to its core, and a major rift has formed between X-Brigade and their superiors at Delta Green. Delta Green remains fanatics to Lovecraft's ambitions to defend civilization at all costs, to the point of destroying any and all vestiges of the paranormal or extraterrestrial. Yet who can deny the thrilling implications of scientific discovery and the military applications if we were to further study and cooperate with these visitors from the stars? To that end, a group of 12 high-ranking officials from all corners of the government have convened to create Majestic 12, a cabal dedicated to the purpose of investigating and recovering alien spacecraft. The majority of X-Brigade, for their part, has secretly broken with Delta Green and have become, by every meaningful metric, an extension of Majestic 12. This is bound to create conflict with Delta Green, so we're just getting alien hunting fanatics is all I got from that. I'm going to read this because it popped up and it's kind of important. The fall of Germany. Today the unthinkable has occurred. German forces fighting in Europe have finally collapsed under the weight of the invading armies. The Reich couldn't continue to struggle, and so it appears the Kaiser, his cabinet, and a considerable number of state officials and key generals have embarked by sea to the African colonies still in the hands of the Germans. So now the war in Europe is over and the worldwide German Empire has been thrown into utter disarray. The end of an era, for the day. For the first time, I am ashamed to be a German. Kaiser Wilhelm II. They lost to the Commune of France and Russia. A new political machine. Politics is, and indeed never was, a game played by men of good soul, nor was it a game played by men of healthy mind and spirit. The unfortunate realities of time mandate Providence to assume a role as a politician. He can still turn the old political machines from tools of the darkness into a tool of the light that will work for all pure New Englanders. So we'll get a national spirit called the new political machine, which just gives .05 political power. Alright. The Shadow over Innsmouth. When Providence originally began the process of preserving his novella Shadow over Innsmouth as a most ancient poem, it was neither the satire of the mind of the story which external scenes and motives to the reminds the reader of Lovecraft's world building, a philosophy following his regular success. With his rise to prominence and political dominance, however, the Shadow over Innsmouth has undergone a beautiful and terrifying transformation, not unlike that of the deep into the figure of Innsmouth itself. Consisting of two parts, the first half of the book is written from the perspective of the narrator, and essentially consists of various curative poems, letters, and speeches previously written by Providence. Several passages are addressed directly to the reader in the nature of a New England heritage and narrator's personal philosophy, who is clearly a stand-in for Providence himself. It is generally understood that this first section is just merely to equip the reader with essential knowledge and build their mental force before the second half. The story then rapidly unravels into an epic tale and deep dive into the very heart of Lovecraft's mythos. It's an autobiography, a fabricated story, a description of Godhood, equal parts truth and love, how to guide for apotheosis, a profane poem, a holy scripture, an apology for Lovecraft's actions, profane gesture those who question his or New England's legitimacy, and an explanation of how a meek and patient man could rise to such greatness. It is at once terrifying to look into the mind of Providence, fathom how to become like him, an intensely disturbing and immersive story that would take a lifetime to process fully. While weaker minds have been driven to madness by Providence's magnum opus, it is capable of finishing his work without losing themselves, emerged suddenly changed. This text will shake the world to its core, and we get a hydropolitical power, even though I can't really do much with political power right now. And it just shows a picture of the bookshed over Innsmouth on the bottom. See? So there we go. The position of poet laureate has been discussed within state politics for a few years now. A single person to represent the corpus of hundreds of artists against the tide of film and popular music as an art form. The New England Congress has decided to create this title along with the reconsecration of the Boston Athenaeum as a temporary Library of Congress. The obvious choice is H.P. Lovecraft, the leader of a nation that has both thrilled and terrified us with his works. Lovecraft, however, has written in the papers that he does not care whether he receives the award. If not Lovecraft, the head candidate is Robert Frost, who exhibits a distinctly New England mastery of modernist poetry. The Library of Congress is in a bind, so we can go with Robert Frost, the modernist master, where we get 20 political power, or H.P. Lovecraft, the master of horror, which we get a change of popularity social conservatism, which I don't want national populism to get weaker. I don't know why that doesn't strengthen national populism, so I want to go with Robert Frost, I guess. So we got the Treaty of Miami after the Constitutional American Republic capitulated, but I don't know why it shows part of them still up there in like Upper Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. I think it's just states, but anyway, I basically took Alabama, Kentucky. I don't know why I was saying Indiana down there, but I took Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Southern Indiana, and everything east of it, while American Union State took basically everything west of that. Except this map's not completely accurate because the Pacific States of America is in control of all of the American Union States territory, so don't take this as completely what it is. But anyway, that's what I got so far. Though I don't understand why they got, I think it's Michigan right above Indiana, because I was the one who, well, me and Canada were the ones that controlled that territory. But anyway, that's the Treaty of Miami. Here's what's talking about the Treaty of Miami. New England took 21 states, the American Union State took 10 states, the Constitutional American Republic was the next, and we seized 66,423 things of equipment. Then here you can see where the Pacific State owns some of their territory. But it looks like the American Union State's probably going to beat them out. They'll just beat us eventually fighting the American Union State to get the rest of America. Which hopefully Canada helps with that, because I can't do that one alone. I know it probably doesn't make sense to go for this one next, but I was getting resistance in New York City and New Jersey and whatnot, so I was going to go with this. Claim Greater New England. New England is a nation greater than the bounds we have been limited to by the old nations. New England spans large swaths of land that rightfully fall under Providence rules. So I don't know how it expects me to get St. Lawrence, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia, because they belong to Canada, and I'm part of the Entente. I don't want to screw that up, so I'm never going to attack Canada, as far as I know, but anyway, here we go. I want to see some events I literally should have got forever ago, but didn't. The fall of Atlanta. New England forces have been pushing towards the Constitutional American Republic's temporary capital of Atlanta for a while now. Reports are now telling me entered the city's capital and advancing troops. William Joseph Simmons' current whereabouts is unknown. It is believed he explored the city with military units. Reports indicate that military police have begun rounding up and arresting potential agitators and foreign syndicalist figures, and that many fires are spreading unchecked through the city's older districts, while New England forces struggle to establish order. The national stronghold is fallen. I don't really care what William Joseph Simmons is, but if someone finds him, he's a terrible person, so, I hope someone does find him eventually, I guess. Anyway, I don't know what happens to the leaders of the other countries. The Constitutional American Republic has capitulated. The American government has gone into exile, and their main forces have capitulated to New England, who is now in control of their home area. Although the struggles between New England and the Constitutional American Republic are over, New England is still at all-out war, and fighting continues elsewhere. Fighting doesn't continue for a rather war now, in certain times. Oh well. The Great Plains ceasefire. Civil War has ravaged America for many months. but today a ceasefire was called in the conflict after a meeting in Denver between officials of the Pacific States of America and the American Union state worked out terms. Pacific forces would withdraw to new boundaries west of the agreed-upon border, while American forces would withdraw eastward. This is not an official peace, however, and many feel that a future reckoning between the two countries, a final showdown, as it were, for the future destiny of America, is all but inevitable. Even so, this is a moment of respite for each side to gather their strength and count their dead, and Americans on both sides are celebrating a bit of peace snatched from the jaws of chaos. We'll see how long it lasts. Probably not long, because sooner or later I'm going to declare war on the American Union state. So I finished that last national focus, so I'm going for Eldritch Signs next, once you let me read about it. The Eldritch Signs are mementos of Lovecraft stories meant to bring good luck. But, who's to say that their good luck can't also be transferred to the real world? So we'll get a National Spirit Eldritch Signs, which gives Division Organization plus 5% and Division Recovery Rate plus 10%. Alright. New Englander forces have been pushing towards the city of New Orleans for a while now. Reports are now coming in of the city's imminent capture by advancing troops. Huey Long's current whereabouts are unknown, but it is believed he was rapidly evacuated to the countryside. Reports indicate that military police had begun rounding up and arresting Minutemen and important Union leaders, and that many fires were spreading unchecked through the city's high-rise districts while New Englander forces struggled to establish order. The Union stronghold has fallen. I'm going with this national focus next, Warrior Society. In order to defend the movement from the world beyond our serene grace, it is our utmost duty to stand guard, ever vigilant, side by side with our Canadian allies. Every citizen of military age must make it their sworn duty to prepare themselves for the final struggle against the darkness and barbarity, syndicalism and foreign threat alike. Buried now are the hatreds of subject and king, and the strife that once sundered an empire hath vanished. With the fame of the Saxon, the heavens shall ring as the vultures of darkness are baffled and banished, and the broad British sea, of her enemies free, shall in tribute bow gladly Columbia to thee. For the friends of the right, in the field side by side, from a fabric of freedom no hand can divide. Since replacing volunteer only with limited conscription, which only gives 1% more recruitable population, but then again, every bit helps. We're also getting the national spirit of Society of Warriors, which grants division organization plus 5% and division recovery rate plus 5%, so that'll be helpful. Pacific victory in the Civil War. After a long and bloody march from west of the Rockies, the so-called Pacific States of America has declared victory in the Second Civil War. The Pacific States was formed as a pushback against MacArthur, who was destroying America and its democracy after his march on Washington. They have stayed true to the ideals of democracy despite the Civil War. As efforts to rebuild are starting across the nation, all that is America will return to its pre-war glory. In defense of liberty. Quote of the day: the first casualty when war comes is truth. Hiram Johnson. This trend of getting these events late. The American Union state has capitulated. The American government has gone into exile and their main forces have capitulated to New England, who is now in control of their home area. Although the struggles between New England and the American Union are over, New England is still at all-out war, and the fighting continues elsewhere. Uncertain times. Why is it uncertain times if I won? So I'm going with this national focus next. Absorb the cults. Within New England there are many who see Lovecraft's works not as the word of a writer, but as the word of God himself, and they hold this work in higher regard than the Quran, the Talmud, or the Bible. In this particular subset, a society has taken to forming cults around Providence and his works, as they believe that the gods are speaking through Lovecraft and communicate through his infinite wisdom. Even though Providence knows it, he crafts works of fiction, and that these cults are comprised of insane lunatics, he cannot deny their devotion to him. Ensuring their loyalty is of the utmost importance, and once they are integrated into our nation, they can adequately fit in Lovecraft's new order. So manpower goes up by 5,000, and national population gets stronger by 9%. Also, I don't know if I pronounced the Talmud or whatever it was right, because I never heard of it until now. I'm not playing as this country, I just briefly switched over and observed and paused the game so I can read about what national populist is. It was too long to read on the New England screen anyway. Encompassing a variety of ultra-nationalist and militaristic movements, national populism typically venerates devotion to the state, uniting the people under a strong leader in a corporate economy, often exposing racial politics and his violent rhetoric, national politics is vehemently opposed by most other political parties. So basically, it's saying national populism is this world's form of fascism. This is the next national focus I'm going for, as it's the only one I could to get further down the tree. Anyway, Lovecraft's New Order. To all who doubted Providence, now is your day of reckoning. Despite the utter insanity of the mere idea of Lovecraft running a nation, Providence has managed to pull off what many would previously consider unthinkable. New England has been transformed in its image, his work read by all in the nation, his words ringing through every corner of the nation, and his ideas ingrained in the fabric of New England itself. However, as of now, Lovecraft is not but a puppet for the Anglophiles that run our nation. The Loyal Coalition was born out of fear and hatred of the unknown, and indeed resonated with Lovecraft in New England's vast majority. However, it is time to do away with them. It is time for Lovecraft's order to be secure without a doubt, and now that Providence is finally comfortable with being a leader, he can take action in a way that his puppeteers never thought possible. So he'll gain base stability with 13%, war support will go up by 15%, and we'll get the event the Day of Drawn Daggers. So if I remember right, this is supposed to be like the Night of the Long Knives, which was in Nazi Germany, I think, where they got rid of anyone that opposed Hitler. They basically just killed them. Just wanted to briefly show how the war is going. We advanced through the Dakotas and took them completely and going into like Montana, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, etc. But anyway, this is how the war's going so far. We're kind of winning, but there's some red bubbles, but I think that'll be resolved pretty soon. Anyway, that's about all the time we have for this part, so goodbye for now.